I find that as an industry, we're a lot more closer with copywriters than developers. But what's your experience with developers?
So my experience hearing other SEOs, everyone always complains about developers because, yeah, they tend to ignore SEOs. They don't do what you want. And yeah, they're just a headache to work with. But from my own personal experience, if you can speak the same language as a developer, and the way you approach a developer, um, it, re- it can really change how they respond to you.
Hmm.
I'll give you an example. I've seen SEOs in the past where, let's say, they do a core web vitals audit. They'll go on Chrome, do a Lighthouse test, copy the result, and then paste it to developers. I mean, a developer's not stupid. I mean, they use Lighthouse themselves. They're fully aware that this is a copy and paste. So
Yeah.
automatically, that developer isn't going to trust you to, listen to you. But if you learn how developers work and you understand how they flow through Jira, and you start to provide recommendations that are structured in a way that they can copy it and put it directly into Jira, and it's one task at a time,
Hmm.
then you'll find that they respond to you a lot better.
Yeah, something I've noticed as well is that they tend to be a lot more receptive when when you paint the picture, um,
Yeah,
almost like a step by step, because they then see the full picture. With copywriters, you can speak with them and you can paint the picture with words, but developers, they need
yeah,
data. They need to see, but once they have data, it's very easy for them to see the big picture. And actually, I find that they sometimes have better solutions than what you may have presented to them once they see
yeah.
the big picture with data.
Of course, yeah. And another bit of experience I've had working with Topshop and Ladbrokes and other large clients in the past is if you do provide solutions to them, they're again more open to jumping on a meeting, discussing your solution. They will come up with their own solutions, and you both discuss it and come up with what is the optimum solution for whatever you're trying to do. Um, so that works really well with developers. But going back to what I said earlier, if you're going to approach developers with, can you please change X, Y, Z? And first of all, you're not giving them a good enough reason why you're changing it. You're providing the recommendation in a way that they can't just put into Jira, which means you're creating extra work for them because they have to rewrite whatever you send them, put it into Jira, and then actually do it. So the more you can learn developers and how they work, the easier it is to actually work with them.
That's so true because I find when I think back to when I work with copywriters, very early on in the early day, I think copywriters as a whole are more familiar with SEO these days, right? So you explain something to them, they
Yeah,
get it just like that. But in the early days, it wasn't really like that. You had pushback as well, similar to how we have pushback
yeah,
with developers these days. And I realized that it seemed as though we had pushback because we were presenting them with more work and almost work that was in contrast to their work. So imagine being
yeah.
a developer, right? And you've just built a site, launched it, and then this person comes to you and says, "Can we change X, Y, and Z on the site?" You would take it personally, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's the issue, SEOs. I think that's the issue that we face. A lot of the times though.
Yeah, is that sorry, go on,
No,
finish,
no, no,
finish.
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you hit the nail on the head there. And one more example, sorry, whilst we're talking of examples, because I appreciate whoever's listening to this video, it might be beneficial for them.
Hmm.
When you speak to developers, try and be technically correct as much as possible. I've seen examples in the past where an SEO may go up to a developer and say, can you implement 6 months caching? And the developer will turn around and be like, what caching? Server level caching, CDN caching, browser
Hmm.
caching? And then the SEO is like, I don't know. So before you make a recommendation, make sure you understand the recommendation so you can do a bit of back and forth with the developer.
Okay, so I think these recommendations that we provide are great, right? But it leads to a fundamental issue in that an issue has to have occurred before we can provide a solution or recommendation. How can we engage developers before an issue arises?
So I guess I can talk about this because the company I'm going to talk about has gone into administration. So technically I'm probably allowed to say whatever I want because they're no longer with us. But yeah, we've had these issues with Topshop all the time where developers would keep releasing something that would negatively impact SEO. And with Topshop, they had hundreds, if not thousands, of developers. So it was very difficult to stay on top of them releasing something that may damage SEO. I mean, the best thing what we've done is do training courses with developers, and training courses, but trying to be engaging with them and talk their language in the training course. Because you have to be very careful not to tell them how to do their job. That's something that won't work very well with developers. You know, you have to tread carefully. But it's about educating developers how Google works, how Google crawls website, and how a small change that you might make a significant impact on organic performance. And that tends to work, but I must say it's not perfect for sure.